said 8:15, it's 8:14. I'll go ahead and start a little bit. I need to, first of all, do a little public address announcement for the students, a little friendly reminder. We've always said we gather in this gym sometimes for real fun things, and sometimes for a little bit more solemn type events. Well, today's theme of this convocation is respect and honor, and that is what I expect out of your behavior today as well. So, okay, there will be times when we have our canned food convocation in December. We get a little crazy here and there, but today is all about honor and respect, and that's how we are expected to be in the stands as well. So, okay? All right, hey, with that, I would like to welcome everybody, students, staffs, families, and community members, and most of all, our honored veterans. The American veteran is one of our greatest treasures, the men and women who answer the nation's call, especially at time of our greatest need. And we are as grateful as a country and school to gather here today to honor and thank our veterans for their service and sacrifice. We have GMS students and staff have been gathering now since 1971. I believe, if I did the math right, that's 48 straight years that we've gathered in a gym to honor and show respect to our veterans. So that's something I'm very proud of our school and community as well. I'm going to give you just a really brief history of Veterans Day and where it all started. I know you probably are familiar with it, but before we get started, I felt as though we at least give you a quick rundown on that. It was the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. An armistice, or a temporary ceasefire, was declared between the Allied nations and Germany in the First World War, also known as the Great War. It was first commemorated as Armistice Day, beginning the following year, November 11th. It became a legal federal holiday in the United States in 1938. In the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day became Veterans Day, a holiday dedicated to American veterans of all wars. That's what brings us together every November the 11th of each year. So with that, I thank you and welcome you, and I'd like to introduce our VFW Pose 5864 as they bring out the colors as we begin our program.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the drumming out of the colors.
Left, right.
Be seated.
few years. This next part of the program will be familiar to you. We have dedicated, our student body has dedicated efforts to be involved with Indy Honor Flight. And Indy Honor Flight, it's a program across the country, and they're dedicated to sending veterans to Washington, D.C., so they can have a day in D.C. and enjoy those monuments and memorials that were built for them. So we have, the past handful of years, decided to help raise money and send veterans out to Washington, D.C. And just in a second, you're going to see a video. There's one part that we also try to get involved with. It's called Mail Call. And on the flight home, once they're out in D.C. and they spend a day and they're flying back home, there is a part of their program called the Mail Call. And that's where they read letters from family members and community members. We try to get some of our kids to write letters to thank them. We have a lot of our elementary students also sent letters for these folks. So you'll see this first part's the mail call, and I encourage anybody who'd like to do that, if you get those letters to us, we'll get them to Indy Honor Flight. And then you'll see the homecoming, and they're scheduled. You can get on their website and see the times they're scheduled to fly back to the Indianapolis International Airport. And I would encourage anybody, if you get a moment or opportunity to be out there when those folks fly back in from their day in Washington, D.C., it is something else. So that's what I want to show you real quick, the mail call and then the homecoming. Then after that, we have our National Junior Honor Society. I think Miss Emma Baker is going to tell you a few things as well, how you may also try to get involved with a little bit more information about that. So if you can please turn your... Okay. I would encourage anybody, first of all, if you know a veteran that would like to participate, be part of this, get a hold of us. We can point you in the right direction to get them out to DC for that day. I can't imagine what that means to those folks. Also, I encourage you, if you want to get involved in a small way of just writing a letter, you can get it to the middle school and we'll make sure it gets there. I believe the next flight is going to be in the springtime. Small donations, or even showing up at the Indianapolis International Airport the day they come back. Any way that you feel that you'd like to support it, I encourage you to do that. With that right now, I'll introduce Ms. Emma Baker from the National Junior Honor Society.
Hi, I'm Emma Baker. I'm an 8th grader, and this is just work for the National Junior Honor Society. Last fall, the National Junior Honor Society sponsored a school-wide penny horse event at the Indy Honor Flights. Together, the student and staff were able to donate $562.69 towards the organization. This donation helped to make this once-in-a-lifetime experience possible for a few of our veterans. After every flight, the veterans comment on how very special the honor flight is to them. Each of them enjoy the trip in different ways. It can be a fulfillment of a dream, an opportunity to share their experiences, a sense of closure to a long overdue welcome home. Many say the trip is one of the most special days of their life. We would like to continue giving this opportunity to our veterans by starting off another one of penny horse beginning today. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and staff will have the opportunity to donate their spare change in their respective buckets during their lunchtime. Pennies and dollar bills will be positive points, and silver coins will take away points. There will be many prizes given out to various categories of winners. If you feel compelled to jumpstart our collection, there will be other National Junior Honor Society members with buckets willing to collect your donations on your way out. Thank you for helping us support this wonderful organization and our veterans.
Thank you. Mr. Herbert.
At this time, we ask that you join us in a moment of silence and recognition for our fallen heroes in 2019. Sergeant Nathan G. Irish. Sergeant First Class Jeremy W. Griffin. Sergeant First Class Ellis A. Barreto. Sergeant First Class Austin R. Master Sergeant Luis F. Figueroa. Master Sergeant Jose J. Gonzalez. Private First Class Brandon J. Kreischer. Sergeant William Fries. Major James G. Sartor. Sergeant First Class Elliot J. Robbins. Sergeant First Class Miguel Holmes. Private First Class Michael A. Thomason. Staff Sergeant Albert J. Miller.
year, we invite our students to take part in an essay contest put on by the VFW. There are a lot of fantastic essays that have been submitted, and we're going to announce those winners today. The title of this year's essay was "What Makes America Great?" And if a student is in the top 3 here, you will win a gift card from us, from the middle school. But also, your essay will be submitted to the local VFW, and we have had students win some money, some scholarship money at the district level, regional level, and I don't know if it was last year or the year before, at the national level, we had a student place. So there were a lot of opportunities for you here. So, that being said, our 3rd place for this year, and this is an accomplishment, guys, this is a 6th grader. So this is all of the kids in the school had this opportunity. So it's rare for a 6th grader to place in the top 3. But this year's 3rd place winner was Zoe Lowe. She's a little excited. And she's getting a Dunkin' Donuts gift card and her certificate. Okay, our 2nd place winner this year with a fantastic essay, and you're winning a Chick-fil-A gift card. Who doesn't like that? Andrew Sobolewski, where are you, Andrew? Okay, and our 1st place winner, and I'm going to ask her if she's comfortable to read this out loud for all of us. If not, I will. And a gift card, she's winning a gift card to Applebee's so she can take the family out to dinner, is Miss Emma Baker. She's already spoken once today, she might as well.
Freedom, equality, unity, democracy. These words describe what I see America as and what makes it such a great place to live in. The freedom to express and accept the differences between others, yet the unity in the identity of being Americans is what I love most about our country. As Americans, we have many personal freedoms to express who we truly are. Choice of religion, speech, assembly, and others are valued in America and are also protected by our Constitution. The First Amendment states Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. The freedoms aren't limited to only the aforementioned one, though, and that's what makes America so unique and wonderful. One example is the ethnic diversity in our country. There are people originating from every almost country in the world living in America, and they all live intermingling with each other. Anyone, regardless of racial and ethnic origins, can be an American, and that label gives a sense of unity among everyone living under that identity. The identity of being an American can bridge racial, ethnic, gender, and religious divides and bring us all closer together. If you look at workplaces, cities, schools, and other places, you'll find people with differing identities that can come together and celebrate one of the things that they have in common, being American. Not many other countries have the ability to unite people from all regions of the world under a single identity, but America has that amazing talent. Even though there is a huge diversity of people, America can bring us all together to unite under common values, freedom, equality, and unity. Or in other words, democracy. People come to America for freedom and liberation, and they get to join a community that's unique. They get a community that, despite their differences, can come together for their country and their identity found within that country. This is what makes America such a great place to live, and why I'm so proud to call America my home.
Another round of applause.
All right, thank you guys. Wonderful job, and good luck as like Mr. Baker said, they'll be moving on to even bigger, better contests with their essays. We have something this year that is brand new to Greenwood Middle School, and I'm not too sure even all the students know of it. I'm going to read you something. I first of all need Mr. Ellington and Mr. Reinhardt. If you can stand up, they've been the integral part of this next part. There's Mr. Ellington right there, and so I'm going to read something that was prepared real quick. And we're going to be able to enjoy this a little bit of the weather, and you'll see why here in just a second. But last spring, members of the Greenwood community approached Mr. Ellington and Mr. Reinhardt about a national organization called the Spirit of 45 that has created living memorials to honor the contributions of women who worked on the home front during World War II. These projects consist of planting a unique variety of Rosie the Riveter roses as a lasting reminder of the legacy women are credited with during World War II. Our garden is located on the south side of the middle school. If you would walk out these doors, and it's kind of on the southeast side, and the walkway, there's a circular walkway, and on one side, you'll see this rose garden that we've planted. Well, Mr. Ellington. It's near the main walkway to the building, and according to the organization's website, this is kind of special here, this is the second official Rosie the Riveter Memorial Rose Garden in Indiana. So we're only one of two. And as far as we know, Greenwood Middle School is the only school in the country with such a garden. The goal of this project is to create a statement by our students and staff that will be a reminder of sacrifice and growth with each new bloom. Each year as the flowers return, so will the students. Each year as a bloom falls, so might a Rosie. World War II was not the first war in the history of mankind. It certainly has not been the last. But it has been the cycle of victory and failure, death and birth, past and future, ebb and flow. So does the path of our students. Rosie the Riveter was a moment in our country's history that inspired teamwork and fidelity to a greater cause. A cause that will carry on for generations. We hope that this garden has become part of our teamwork for the cause, and teamwork in remembrance of Rosie's generations and honor of generations to come. So I would encourage you, obviously the weather may not permit it today, but at any point in time, if you go out there and you'll see, we're going to post, we got an official here lately, Rosie the Riveter. Anytime you see a Rosie Riveter Memorial Rose Garden, they'll have an official plaque like this. We have a post, we're going to put that up. We're going to do a little ceremony today, but like I said, unfortunately, the weather's not going to let us. And Mr. Ellington, due to the weather, had to cover up the roses with mulch to get them through the winter. So right now it's a mountain mulch for the most part. But anyway, the whole idea behind it is very special to us. Like I said, we're very proud of, as far as we know, the only school in the country right now that has a Rosie the Riveter Rose Garden out there. So any point in time, especially spring rolls around, come by and see that. You'll see our official plaque out there. So I want to thank Mr. Ellington. He's put a lot of hard work into that. Mr. Reinhardt. They kind of got the idea a little bit to it, and they had support from our Greenwood Education Foundation as well that got behind this and made it possible. So I want to thank the Greenwood Education Foundation as well. They get behind a lot of great things that we're able to do here on some special basis. So I'd like to thank them as well. Okay. Nearing the end of our program today, I want to thank you again for coming out. But at this point in time, the GMS band will be playing the Marches of the Armed Forces, and I would like to invite, as a veteran, when you hear your branch song, would you please come right down here as you hear it play, where it's like to line you up real quick, and do what? And the choir, yes, right behind us. Sorry about that. Yes, I apologize. Between the band and the choir, can we please give them both a round of applause? They did a wonderful, absolutely wonderful time getting prepared. Absolutely terrific. We thank them. So with that, if you would like to go ahead and start, Mr. Kluger, once again, veterans, if you hear your song, please come on up here and line up. officially thank you all for your service. This is why we gather here each and every Veterans Day, for these fine folks that have sacrificed so much and have been so honorable. We thank you again for everything. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of our 48th Veterans Day. Thank everybody once again from the bottom of my heart. This is one of the most special days for me. This is one of my favorite days that we have throughout the school year, each and every year, and you guys make it extra special, so thank you with that.